What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I am back to review a new show that I'm adding to my roster, and that is Next Generation NYC, or should I say Next Gen NYC. Now, this is a show that was pretty much promoted as like this cool spinoff of Children of Housewives, okay? Or you have to have come from like a Bravo legacy, right? However, half of the cast, not even on Bravo. Like, their parents are not on Bravo. They're just friends of the kids whose parents were on Bravo. But you know what? We gonna get into it because honestly, after I watched the first episode, I'm like, okay, wait. We may have something here, okay? But let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, the first person that we meet is Ariana, okay? Oh, you may know Ariana because her mom is Kim Zolciak. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I thought that her big sister was going to be on the show, but maybe she doesn't actually fit into the age range of the young adults that are on here. So, according to Ariana, there's not a lot of kids from Housewives that are basically living in that area. And it is very clear because if I'm not mistaken, it's only 3. I think that there's only 3 kids that are actually from like parents in Housewives history. Nonetheless, we know that she knows Brooks and she knows Gia. Now, who is Brooks? He comes from the lineage of someone on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't watch that show, so I'm not really too familiar with him or the family. However, according to him, he is a clothing designer. He's a model. He has a whole list of things that he does, right? And basically, he feels like he is living in his mom's shadow. So at this point, we have somebody who has something to prove on this show. He wants to show that he is more than just being so-and-so's son. And I'm like, okay, cool. Out of all the people on the show so far, I feel like Brooks is the nucleus. Brooks is the one that knows everybody and everybody genuinely likes him. That's what I've gotten so far. Now, while he's doing this photo shoot, because that's where we see him, he's doing a photo shoot with his mom, I believe, and Ava and Charlie show up. Now, Ava, we have seen her on a few reality shows at this point. Some of you may be familiar with her. Her name is Ava Dash. Her dad is Dame Dash of Rockefeller Records, and her mom is designer Rachel Roy. We also see this guy Charlie, who is friends with Brooks. At first when they came in, I thought they were dating, and I was like, oh wait, is this now her boyfriend? Because y'all remember, we actually saw Ava on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because she was dating that one lady. What's her name? Diana Jenkins. Yes, she was dating her son. So I'm just like, is this your man? But no, these two aren't dating. According to Brooks, though, he does make a comment in his confessional that out of all his friends, Charlie hasn't grown up. And baby, when I tell you that man proved it, oh baby, that man proved it later on in the episode. Now, going on from there, we do see, I was going to say, Brooks surprised me because the person that we see in that confessional is not the person who was up there modeling. I said, oh, okay, I see it. I can see it. Now, we're going to move on over back to Ariana. Now, she is in New York with her boyfriend, Hudson, right? We see them go on this little date or whatever. And this is what Ariana says. And I'm like, girl, what's going on here? She says, yeah, we've been together for 2 years, but we've also been on and off for 9. I said, I'm sorry, what now? Keep in mind, she's 22 years old. I said, girl, the math. I'm going to assume that she's saying that at this point, they've been together for 2 years steady in their adult life. However, that back and forth, on and off for 9 years, girl, like, she didn't even make it seem like they were high school sweethearts. So, for me, it's giving, so you dated him in, like, 9th grade, and then y'all broke up in, like, 11th, and then, like, sis, let's just say we dated in high school and continued the relationship. We could have ended it there because honestly, I always give a side eye to most people when they be counting them high school relationships. But you know what? That's a whole nother conversation. And we're going to go ahead and move on, okay? So she goes on to talk about how, y'all, this is probably the craziest shit that I heard on the episode. She got her first brand deal when she was 14 years old, okay? Mama was out here working, posting 3 times a week, getting a bag, okay? Shout out to her for having that opportunity and being able to do that at a young age, right? However, why did she say she found out just 2 years ago, when she was 20 years old, that her parents had spent all the goddamn money? I said, wait a second, what do you mean they spent all of the money? Like, and the fact that you went 2 years of being an adult from 18 to 20 and you never saw that or you never checked for that is crazy, number one. But also at the same time, Kim Zolciak, what the hell are you doing? Because if you did that with her money, I know you did that with your oldest daughter money. I know that you did. But again, you was over here trying to live the high fancy life and you out here taking your kids' money? That is so crazy to me. That's wild. That is just so horrible. Like, I don't understand parents who have that much greed that they will take from their children. Like, come on now. So then she mentions how, like, yeah, because my mom, she'll be, like, on the phone with me drinking, like, a $200 bottle of wine. Kim, like, girl, why are you still trying to keep up with the Joneses when you ain't got it? That's crazy. You still over here trying to stunt for the gram? Is that what you doing, Kim? Like, be so for real about yourself. And then, here's the thing. Ariana has no idea how much money she made over the years. That's number one. Number two, Kim to this day still calls her for money. And then she actually gives her the money because y'all know Kim has, is it 6 kids or 5 kids? She had the oldest 2 from a previous relationship, right? Then she had some other kids with Croy. So this girl is saying, you know what? If my mom is asking me for money, I'm going to give it to her because, she's thinking that the money is going to go to her siblings. Like, if they need something, then, mom's going to spend the money on them. But, baby, here comes Hudson. Hudson is my kind of guy, baby. Stick with him because he said, listen, you need to go ahead and put your foot down because at the end of the day, you're just sending her money. You don't know if them kids is actually getting anything from it. It could very well be a situation where she's telling you, oh, the kids need such and such. The kids need this. They need that. You're giving her the money and she's spending on this $200 bottle of wine. And I'm like, I'm with Hudson. Like, listen, if your siblings, they need something, and at this point, those kids should be older, so they should probably all have a cell phone. If they need something, they need to come to you directly and tell you what the item is, and you can go ahead and send it to them. Because I'm sorry, I don't trust Kim with no money at this point, okay? So, she feels like, she doesn't want money to destroy her family. But baby, that's not the problem here. The money is not what's destroying your family. Your mother has poor financial decision making, okay? Your mother refuses to, get in the field and maybe have to go to work. Remember at one point she was a nurse? So girl, you can absolutely go back and get a job. Now, I'm not too sure about Croy and what he got going on, but I remember at one point that he was in the NFL. He wasn't no big star, so I'm not going to assume that he ever had big money. But again, it's been years. It's been over a decade since that man has played in the NFL. Sir, what the fuck you been doing all these years? You didn't think to go back to school, pick up a trade or something? Like, come on now. They always looking for plumbers and electricians. Be so for real about yourself. But, oh, right. Y'all was over there making social media money. So you thought that shit was going to be forever. And baby, listen. For some people, it works out. But for other people, especially with these high bills that you have because you're trying to obtain or maintain, I should say, a certain lifestyle, baby, please. That is just not going to work for you. You're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to find other ways to make money. Hell, if you really want to be honest, Kim, maybe you should have got an OnlyFans. Because listen, the girls is making money on the OnlyFans. So maybe that's what you should have done. But you shouldn't be trying to, finesse your children out of money. Nonetheless, Like I said, I'm rocking with Hudson so far. I like him for Ariana. Next thing you know, also she said that, she feels like Hudson, he be kind of feeling away, but really this don't have nothing to do with him. However, but low-key it do, because it sound like he be having to, give her money. Because, that's her boyfriend, that's her man. Of course he gonna be like, okay, we get a place, then I'm taking care of you, I'm taking care of things. But the money that you making, girl, he don't want it to all go out from up under you. Okay? Your mama already got you once. You can't let her keep getting you. Now, moving on from there, we see Brooks and Chloe. I forgot to mention that Chloe is Brooks' sister, right? And they are at this party where we meet someone by the name of Georgia. We're going to get to her in a minute. But basically, we learned that Brooks and Chloe met they met Charlie through Georgia, or they met Georgia through Charlie. One or the other, right? Now, moving on from there, right? We actually jump on over to Charlie. He finally arrives to the party, and we learn that he is a crypto trader. Child, I thought he was a day trader, but no, he does crypto, right? All right, fine. He get in the party, but we all see that he has eyes for Chloe. However, you can very much tell that Brooks don't want Charlie to do anything with his sister, near his sister, or around his sister, because it is very clear that Brooks know what type of friend Charlie is. He know what type of person that he is. However, like I said, Charlie wants to get him a piece of Chloe. Okay? Now, next person that we see is Ava. She's in the car with her dad. I mean, the whole damn family was there. Damn new girlfriend or wife. I can't really remember if they got married or not. But let me tell y'all, her little brother, Dusko, that little boy is a cutie pie. Oh my gosh, so adorable. And basically, they were playing this game in the car, right? And it was like, I spy with my little eye something black. That's what Ava said. Why, oh why, did Dame say, well, we know it ain't none of Ava's boyfriends? I hollered because, baby, that is so true. Ava does not date black boys. She don't. She won't. She refuses. Every guy that we have seen her with has been a white boy. That's just her. That's her thing. That's her type. Okay? So, basically, we just learned a bit more about Ava and her background. Who her parents are. Like I said, it's Rachel Roy and Damon Dash. And she's a model. Okay? Cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump on over to Charlie. So, yes, he does make his money by being a crypto trader, but it's basically because his dad actually had a career in some type of finance role, like some type of high finance role. So he done made like a bunch of money over the years. You know what I'm saying? And basically, his dad gives him money and he does his thing with the crypto stuff. He's one of the characters that I was talking about, like him, Georgia. They're not really associated with Housewives or anything Bravo, but they are friends of Brooks. Okay, so we jump on over to Georgia. We learn that she is a brand strategist. She is in her house. It's a very small apartment. She's like a 4th generation New Yorker. That's what they said. I didn't even know people go by generations of when they move there, but whatever. And, I was just wondering, is she okay? Because that girl sat there and combed her hair with a goddamn fork. I said, oh no, this little girl a little off, okay? So at some point she does meet up with Charlie and Ava, and they talk about Charlie's dating life. Well. We learned that at some point in his life, I think it was in high school, he dated Lindsay Lohan. I said, well, that is a random fact for us to know. Now, moving on from there, we meet, I think it's Emira. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'll get it right the next time. So we meet her. She's a content creator. We learned that she was actually the beauty director of Paper Magazine. However, she started to build her own brand, her own, content. And at the same time, she started to like work with other brands like Victoria's Secret. Now, I will say this. One thing that I have seen over the years, and I'm pretty sure you guys have as well, is that times have changed so drastically, because before it was, if you worked for a company, all of your work, everything goes into that company and how you can better the company. However, we are currently in a space where, yes, you work for the company, but at the same time, you're making a name for yourself in ways that brings more money to you. So where brands want to work with you. And that was not a thing before. Like, if you were a beauty editor, that's all you were. You were a beauty editor. Like, it wasn't a situation where, the brands are coming to you for collaborations. And I think that, honestly, there's some good in that, and there's also some bad. There's some good in it because, you making more money, you're getting your name out there, you're building your own brand. However, at the same time, this is also why I feel like a lot of companies like magazines and all these things are tanking, because nobody wants to do those jobs anymore. Like, why should I be making a company that I don't own waste so much money that, only pays me a certain amount, when I could really be making my own doing these brand deals? However, we are also lacking a lot of structure that you learn when working with a lot of companies. But you know what? I'm going on a tangent. That's a whole topic for a whole nother day. Moving on. So basically, she met Brooks in college, right? Back to Amira. And they actually have this conversation. And Brooks is like, I feel some type of way about Charlie possibly dating Chloe. And Amira is like, in those situations, that usually ends badly. And she ain't lying. She is not lying. Now, this is what had me hollering. Baby, when they said, yeah, because when you look at Charlie, he looked like Scott Disick and Barry Manilow put together. Baby, when I tell you they were spot on, I was laughing too hard. I was like, oh my God. That is what that man looks like. So, we do see Charlie and Chloe. They do go on a date. Honestly, it wasn't really given too much, okay? It wasn't. It was very simple, met up at a coffee shop type date. Now, at the same time, we see Ariana and Hudson, and they are apartment hunting, okay? We have seen them apartment hunt a few times on this episode because they are new to moving to New York. Y'all, we see our girl, Riley Burris. Come on, Riley. Baby, this is who I'm here to see. I can't lie. Of all the cast members, I know who Riley is. I know who her mom is. Not like I know them personally, but like I watched The Housewives of Atlanta. So it's so good to see Riley. I was like, girl, if you don't put that dog down, because she was like carrying her dog in her arms. I'm like, put that dog down. He can walk or she can walk. But nonetheless, I think that Riley looks great. She's wearing her natural hair. And y'all, I am telling you, now keep in mind, for the girlies that are children from Housewives, they're playing like older clips of them when they were kids, right? And when I tell y'all, Riley has completely changed how she looks. And I don't mean like she got work done. I'm just saying, like, over the years, as she's gotten older, her looks have changed. Like, when she was little, she looked just like Mama Joyce. Oh my God. That girl looked just like her grandmother. However, now when I look at Riley, I see so much of Candy. She's really beautiful though. Love me some Riley so far. So we do learn that she graduated from NYU. Y'all, we remember when she was going to look for an apartment, initially when she was going to NYU, and she didn't even know what an ice cube tray was. But, she graduated and she wants to work in the music business, which, keep in mind, I understand that completely because her mom is Candy. Like, her mom has been doing music since she was a teenager. And honestly, she can definitely learn a lot from her mom because, baby, Candy Burris has always been about her business when it comes to the music industry. Now, when we met Riley some years ago when she was going to NYU, she did say she wanted to be a lawyer. So I'm wondering what made things change or like what's going on there. But this is the kicker, y'all. She says that she is, a little bit nervous because Candy told her, baby, you got 1 year. You got 1 year to figure it out, get your stuff together, because I'm cutting you off financially. I said, okay, Riley, let's get to it, baby. Riley is very smart. You can tell that she's going to be fine. She is going to do great things. Now, moving on from there, we see Brooks. He has a conversation with Chloe. Baby, here's the thing. Chloe felt like the date was cool, but it was nothing to brag about, right? However, we see that Charlie actually texts Brooks and was like, oh yeah, we should hang out after, this date that I have with Chloe. But then he goes on to make a joke about Chloe possibly going back to his place. Like, are you okay? Why would you make a joke like that with her brother? Her brother? Like, that is not going to be funny to him. But again, like I said, Brooks knows how Charlie is. So that is why he was very hesitant about Chloe even going out with him. Now, at this point, Chloe is like confused because she's like, why would he even say all that? Like, nothing in this date was even giving any of that. So I'm just like, Chloe, don't go back. Don't even give Charlie the time of day. You hear me? So we jump on over to Riley. We see her shopping with Brooks. And he brings up Ariana. So Riley's like, well, I haven't seen her since we were like 10 years old. Because after our moms fell out, they're not going to keep bringing their kids around each other. And I'm just like, wow. I completely forgot that, like, at one point, Candy and Kim were rocking together to the point where the kids were hanging out. You know what I mean? And honestly, that does suck. It does suck when the parents fall out and then the kids also have to fall out because of that. Like, it's one thing if the kids fall out because they just, grow apart, which I feel like that probably would have happened with them anyways. Because they just seem very, very different. You know what I'm saying? And not in a bad way. But, like, kids, they do outgrow each other. You know what I mean? And then sometimes they come back together. Sometimes they don't. But at this point, Riley is like, I don't even know Ariana anymore. And that is very, very true. Because at the end of the day, if I was hanging out with you when, I was 10, we're now in our 20s. Yeah, I don't know you. I don't know what you like. I don't know what you do. Like, we're just two very different people. So I feel like we're going to see some interesting scenes with them trying to figure out if they still like each other, if they can be cool. Like, the parents' beef is not relevant anymore. But moving on from there, Brooks also talks about the fact that Charlie, said that stuff about the date with his sister. And Riley is like, that's out of pocket for someone to say that, period, number one. And then she goes on to say that, Charlie likes to be messy. And then he acts like things never happened. Baby, truer words have not been spoken. Because that's exactly what he did later on. We're going to go ahead and move on, but we're going to talk about it. Now, we jump on over to Charlie. He's hanging out with his boys. And baby, when I tell you he's hyping up this date, and I'm like, sir, it wasn't even all that. Like, I don't even understand why you doing all of this. So we jump on over to Hudson and Ariana. And, she says that she wants to start a clothing line. That's the whole reason why she even wanted to move to New York, because she wants to advance her career and also escape her parents. So she is also realizing that, baby, New York is nothing to play with when it comes to you moving there and living there. It's not Atlanta. Atlanta, you can get a lot more bang for your buck. Y'all, it's to the point where Ariana says she's working an online job to have a paycheck coming in. Y'all, I don't think that Ariana just means like, oh, I'm posting on social media. No, Ariana has, I don't know if she has like some like remote type job, but you know what? Shout out to her. Shout out to her for doing that. Because let's be so for real right now. I don't know how much that job may pay her, but because to me, it sounds like she's talking about a legit job. It doesn't sound like she's talking about, oh, I'm just doing like the social media influencer thing. To me, I cannot knock her for that at all. I really respect it. Because at the end of the day, what she could have done was be like, I'm just going to see if this social media thing plays out. If it works out in my favor. Or, because she's related to someone who was a reality star. She may thought, she was too good to get a regular job. But no. And also, y'all, once we found out about the boyfriend, which I'm about to get to right now, I have a lot more respect for her. Because here's the thing. They're looking at apartments, right? And the apartment that they saw was $5,800. Baby, ain't no way. Not for that little apartment. And here's the thing. Their budget is $6,000 and at the highest $8,000. I'm like, God damn, that's high. So the real estate person that was helping her was like, y'all gonna have to double the budget for what you're asking for, because she wants like a 2-bedroom. She wants space because she's from Atlanta. She's used to having space. And here's the thing, she really don't want to have to double the budget, because she's like, $12,000, like I can't even imagine me trying to contribute half the rent if it's going to be that high. Now here's the thing, y'all, we learned that Hudson, he actually comes from a family with money. His dad created Zaxby's. Now, I've never had it, but I heard that is good. Okay? I never had it, but at some point I will. So, his family got money, okay? And I don't know if he gets like a stipend from the family, if he may work for the family in some type of role, but he ain't hurting for no coin. When I found that out, I'm like, wait, so she with a dude who got bread and she still went and got a job? Shout out to her. Because y'all know a lot of young girls especially would have been like, oh, well, my boyfriend's going to take care of it. Because I'm pretty sure he offered. You know what I'm saying? He seemed like the type. And I'm just like, okay, Ariana, you got your head on straight. I mean, I don't know about that sister Brielle. But, you got your head on straight. I don't know if, Saweetie raised you. Because y'all remember the black girl Sweetie on Real Housewives of Atlanta that used to work for Kim. I don't know if if Sweetie instilled some stuff in you. Because I know it wasn't Kim. I know it wasn't. But we're going to go ahead and move on. So, we also meet Gia. Gia's mom is Teresa Giudice from New Jersey Housewives. So she's coming to Amira's show. I forgot to mention, Amira has this fashion show that's coming up, and these two girls are friends, Gia and Amira. And baby, she got to come all the way from New Jersey. I said, girl, you couldn't just get a cute little apartment while you, film this show. You got to come all across the water from New Jersey? Okay, girl. So, moving on from there, we actually see Amira. She's getting ready for the fashion show. And she ends up getting a text from Ava that says that she has a work dinner, but she's going to come after to meet with her so they can hang out. I'm like, okay, at least she sent the text. Now, we see Brooks, Charlie, Gia, and Riley. They attend the fashion show. Brooks can't even focus on the show, because now he's in the same room as Charlie. And he like, I need to talk to him because what he said to me was out of line. Now, I will say, Amira did her thing at the fashion show. Looked great. I'm here for it. So, y'all, they went out for drinks, okay? This is where the shit get real interesting. So, as they're out for drinks, Georgia shows up, right? And I will say, that one is real quirky, okay? Now, this is her first time meeting Riley, and she asks her, like, oh, where do you stay? And Riley's like, oh, I stay in Brooklyn. Now, we learned that, like I said, Georgia does, like, this brand and event stuff, and she has thrown some pretty big parties, like, even with Diplo. And I'm like, okay, shout out to you. So, Riley was telling her, like, oh, yeah, I used to stay in an apartment above this place called Cat's Deli. And she's like, oh yeah, like I thrown a party there at Cat's Deli. And you know why they call it that? Or no, she said, you know why it got so popular? And Riley was like, no. She's like, oh, it's because of how Harry met Sally. Baby, when I tell y'all I was cackling because nobody knew what the hell she was talking about. Keep in mind, when Harry Met Sally came out, I want to say it was, 93 or 90 something. Could have been the 80s, hell. I can't remember when that movie came out. I've never even seen it. I've heard of it. However, these kids ain't never heard of that. They have no reason to know what that movie is, who's in it, any of the things. But she knows this stuff. That's why I'm like, okay, she is quirky. I feel like she's probably like a movie buff. Like she knows a bunch of random facts about New York. The girl's an interesting person, okay? That's to say the least. So Ava shows up, she's like, oh, I was at this event that I had to do with my favorite shoe designer, Manolo Blahnik, baby. She popped that leg up so we could see the Manolos, right? We didn't really get to see them. However, why the hell did Georgia touch the bottom of the shoe? Like her foot was up so that everybody could see the shoe. Why did she swipe her hand across the bottom of the shoe like a person is wiping a baby's bum after they, got to clean them up? I said, why did she wipe her hand across that shoe like that? That's disgusting. Then she had the audacity to touch her face afterwards. I'm like, yo, she is doing way too much. So Riley is disgusted. She's like, please don't touch me. So here's the thing. The date comes up between Charlie and Chloe. Now, Brooks is whispering to Gia about what Charlie said. Sir, you have got to stop talking to everybody but Charlie about this situation. Okay? So then Gia pipes up for her friend because she like, that's fucked, like that ain't right, that's fucked up, And Charlie is like, why are you being his mouthpiece? I said, oh, Charlie, you get with the girls. Okay. So finally, Brooks pipes up and he's like, I didn't want to have this conversation here. Like, this is not the place for this. And Riley is like, listen, you already know that Brooks is super respectful and this really ain't the place for it. But Riley in her confessional says that, usually she used to be Captain Save-A-Ho. But baby, she had to stop that because it started to get her in trouble. And I'm like, yeah, because when you get into the middle of shit, then people think that you're being messy or you're trying to be too involved. Yep, stay out of it. Now, she did say that she will always defend Brooks because here's the thing. To me, Brooks, like I said, he's the nucleus and he seems like he's a good person. However, I don't know how this gonna go with this season, baby, because it's gonna get interesting. So, here's the thing. We did see Charlie basically say that this is not how it went down. That is not how that text was. This is not how it went down. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Here he come whipping out that goddamn phone. Now, of course, y'all, he pulled it up. And the text was absolutely what Brooks said it was. So now he's like, well, I'm sorry. Then he tried to apologize. Baby, when I tell you Riley was so right when she was like, he basically tries to brush things off. That's exactly what he does. So, in real life, though, because in his confessional, he felt like he didn't do nothing wrong. I said, oh, no. Brooks, get away from Charlie. Charlie is going to bring you down. That's not the person that you need, Brooks. Like, I'm sorry. When people are good people, I don't like them being around people who I know don't always have the best intentions and will bring them down in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like Charlie is that person. So, baby, we about to wrap this on up because the girls went to the restroom while all the guys went to go smoke. So, they're in there. And Riley questions Georgia like, girl, why you didn't wash your hands? And Georgia says, well, I don't believe in that. Again, I'm disgusted. So, Georgia at one point after they came out the bathroom, because Riley's like, I don't know to believe you or not. So, she comes out the bathroom, right? And she's talking about her nails. And she trying to show her nails off, right? And Riley was like, I would hold your hand, but you didn't wash them. I fell out laughing. Because honestly, that is true. As a girl, when girls be like trying to show you their nails, like a lot of times you do like pick up their hand so that you can really see the detail. Oh my God. I was with Riley, baby. I would not even touch that girl in no way, shape, or form. So then we have Georgia, who is defending her not washing her hands. I'm like, girl, you really are disgusting. Like, what is wrong with you? Because she's like, I don't have allergies and, I don't get the flu. Girl, go on somewhere with that, please. So at this point, everybody knows that she don't wash her hands, and they kind of give her the side eye. However, in the confessional, Charlie is like, I don't see the problem with her not washing her hands because, sometimes I don't wash my hands either after using the bathroom. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. Ill, 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 ill. Y'all, here's my thing. And I promise it's not even, okay, it might be a little bit of a race thing, but like, sometimes when I be seeing black people in spaces where it's like all white people, I be concerned for them. So like right now, I'm concerned for Riley because I don't want Georgia near her. I don't want Georgia near her. At all. God damn. But nonetheless, Georgia, she's about to leave, right? And she's saying her goodbyes to people. So then she tries to come over and hug Riley. But Riley blocked that from happening. She's like, girl, I don't want you to touch me. So then Georgia, she's like, I just met Riley. And she can't tell me what to do with my body. My body, my choice. Girl! That is not what we meant when we said your body, your choice. You don't get the fuck on. Baby. I feel like Georgia is very much a wild card. But this season seems like it could be promising. These kids are young. This is something fresh. So I think and I'm hoping that this show is good. But y'all, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Are y'all watching? Are y'all tuning in? Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.